Go.
Turn your mic on.
Turn on mic on.
Oh, they're all on.
Online, microphones are on. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this special board meeting. It is June 24th at 10 a.m. Can we stand for a pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a roll call, please? Present.
Commissioner Zemke, Commissioner Matoush,
Present.
Commissioner Slater Carter,
Present.
Commissioner Chang Corrali.
Present.
Okay. Almost all present and accounted for. The next part of the meeting is the public comment period. We have no one in our audience today. Do we have anyone online for public comment? No public comment. Do we have any comments by any of the commissioners who would like to say anything? I have something to say, so, and it'll be nice. I want to thank Jim Pruitt and myself attended several presentations on the functioning of the harbor and all the great things that we're doing. And Jim, I went to heckle Jim, but we were there together at the Pacifica Democrats Club 2 weekends ago. And then this past week, the Rotary Club of Pacifica. So, I'm sorry?
It wasn't 2 weeks ago, it was last week.
Last week, it seemed like it was so long ago. So Jim did a phenomenal job. All the remarks, questions, and then feedback coming back was how great of a job that he did. There was even some special letter that one of the members of the Rotary Club, his wife, requested that it be read in front of the meeting on all the great things that this district does. And on all of the transparency and all of those awards. So it was a really great set of presentations. And I think people were very appreciative of it. I attended specifically because I am the representative for Pacifica. So I wanted to be there and in addition to heckling Jim. So with that, Jim, again, thank you so much. And I hope we'll see, more of those presentations, but I think we certainly heard from both groups that they will definitely invite us back to hear about all the great things that the harbor is doing. So again, thank you to Jim, his staff for all the stuff they've been working on. So,
I have a comment.
okay, good.
Also, I wanted to thank Jim and Tom actually for attending a meeting that I put together with Sam with regard to his whale protection legislation that's kind of just sitting there right now, just kind of to give input to. And so I set this up because I'd heard from some of the fishing fleet and their concerns. And I thought, I talked to Sam and I said, why don't we do this? And so what resulted in was this meeting. And we had, I think, Sherry Ingalls, Smitty, Lisa Damrosch, Tom, Jim, Sam's staff, and me. And I thought that it was, maybe some people didn't think it was useful, but I know that Sam's office appreciated because they got a different perspective from a group of stakeholders who could be impacted or, just giving feedback to his office. And I mean, it's really not anywhere being the bill, meaning the bill is still a ways off from, being moved down through the process. So thank you, Tom and Jim, for being there. Also, right after that, I attended along with Tom and Jim, Sam's town hall, which I did in Half Moon Bay, which I thought was, pretty good. So really the harbor stuff didn't come up. I think there were other concerns that people brought up, but I just wanted everyone to know that I think Sam is working for us as best as he can and really making his presence known and listening to people on the coast side.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments? Catherine? No? We're good? Okay, the next part of the program, section D, is the discussion part. So we'll go ahead and Rochelle, would you like to talk about our budget coming up?
I would. Thank you very much, President Dameron, commissioners. I appreciate being able to be here today at this special meeting to present our fiscal year 26-27 budget. Last week, the Finance Committee met. Commissioner Mateusz and Commissioner Chang Crawley lended their expertise and historical knowledge, and we went through the proposed budget, and the Finance Committee did recommend that we move the budget forward for full board consideration. With the package today, I have a very detailed staff report, but I don't want to read it. I want us to have a blend of meeting all the legal requirements and also presenting the budget so that not only our commissioners walk away with a good sense of where we're at, but that the public can also get a good grasp of what we're doing here at the district. And so I do have that detailed staff report. Everybody can enjoy that. It is part of the board package. I'm not going to reference it too much today. So to start us out, I'm going to take us over to our digital budget book and walk us through that. And I do that every year. So I'm sorry if anybody participating is very familiar with it, but if not, well, this will be a good opportunity.
Sure.
I am. So let me know if anything goes wrong. I don't want to be talking and clicking away if you're not seeing it. So please make sure that you stop me. We'll get there in just a minute. All right. Looks like we're there. So we present our budget book in a digital format. If you really like paper and you want to make a PDF, you can click it here at the top and it'll be emailed to you. I think that the budget book presents the best in its digital format, and it's easier to jump around and navigate, in my opinion. And I'm going to take us through each of our sections and just highlight some of the things I like the best, but you can also take your time and dive into that. An introduction and transmittal letter. Of course, our general manager has a detailed letter about presenting our budget this year. And really some of just the foundational pieces of the district. I like our demographics tab. I think that this product presents it nicely. Also our financial policies, if you really want to look at, dig into here and figure out what the formula is for our reserves. Our financial policies are in here. Also, kind of how we like to present our budget and the timeline, all the dates that we've met into getting to this place today. So influencing factors. When we met last time to approve the preliminary budget, there were a couple sections that were not yet built out. And one of them was our strategic plan section, because our strategic plan was approved in October. And so that area needed to be rebuilt, and including new goals and some old goals, because our work at the district isn't that much different from year to year. We might need to shift and prioritize in our new strategic plan. So I was able to pull forward some goals that we had in the past and some new goals that were set to achieve our strategic plan. So this tab has been built out. And another tab that was not ready when we approved the preliminary budget is our investment tab. So providing data from the end of March. We don't do a true fiscal year. We kind of have a different year-to-year look at this, but just so that we can compare year to year. It includes our current investment portfolio, where our funds are currently invested in the different types. So LAIF, the San Mateo County Investment Pool, CAMP. So just providing some visuals around that. Also comparing where we were invested our dollars by fiscal year, how things have changed from 2024, 25, and to 26. And then also taking a look at how much money we have earned from our interest income from investments. So a visual for that. I want to jump back up here to long-term financial planning. If you're interested in how things look out into the future, and I'm going to reference how in 5 years we have a projected imbalance, and that lives out here in 2031. You can see where we have this little negative down here. And that has been our trend for the last few years, is that this imbalance is 5 years out, and we want to keep it out there, but we are watching it. We don't want it to creep closer, but we'll notice that our revenues are trend down and our expenditures trend up, but we do not want them to meet. And so just that I will reference this in a little bit as well. The budget summary. I think this product does a really great job of giving us some visuals around just very simply, but this is another piece around where this is a newer chart the general manager requested, and I think it does a nice visual of showing us how our revenues have been trending down, expenditures trending up, and we are going to fight this little meeting point right here. Department summary. Maybe you only really want to know about Oyster Point. And so if that's all really you want to know about, you can click on Oyster Point and take a deep dive into the finances and expenditures and revenues that come in from that location. The same with Pillar Point and the same with our administration department. Really some detailed tables about the revenue and expenditures by department. Let's see, capital improvement plan. Again, really being able to look at the details of what we have out there. Many of our projects are unfunded. This next coming year, we have a pretty conservative capital improvement program, really just vessels and vehicles and the general manager's projects. We look out into 2028 with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers project for the Princeton shoreline. That is estimated at $15 million, with 3.2 of that being funded by the Army Corps of Engineers and 1.2 from the district. We also would anticipate, and we're not quite there yet with a hard estimate for our C4 parking lot, but I anticipate that will fall into this forward-looking piece, but I don't have a hard number yet to place in there. We have done design and engineering, and that was paid for over on this other side of the timeline. Maybe I want to know a little bit more about the Princeton Shoreline project. I can click on here, and there's narratives and pictures and goals. So really all the details that you might be interested in our projects. And then, of course, we have lots of acronyms. I have to. And so if you're going through our document and you're like, what does this mean? You do have a resource for that. So, and some of our goals and some of the pieces of the budget book become a dynamic, ongoing tool where we are updating our achievements regarding goals, but that's okay because I'm done showing it. But I appreciate that. I need the backup. Thank you. But that's the quick version of our digital budget book.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
That's now available for the public on the website. They could find that on there, click on it, and also look at all the same things. Correct?
Right now, you would find it attached to this staff report, but once it is approved, it will then become a permanent link on our website. So at any time, our archive budgets, our current budget, you can click on that and be able to take a look at what we had projected. So if you'll just give me a moment, I'll share my screen again. It's very secure. Yes.
Actually, that's how I've seen the budget, because from our staff reports. In general, I should just try to pull it up in the English and see how easily it can be done. That's a good point.
Microphone.
I've just been able to access the budget book in the past through the staff report
Not through the.
and not through the public, not the way that the public would normally access it. So I'm gonna try it that way to see how easy it is to do it.
That
So
sounds,
thanks for bringing that up. I didn't even think about it because it's just so easy for me to access it through the report before. I mean, because when you read the.
I just wanted the public who may be listening or later.
Yeah.
To know they can access
No, I
it
think it's
when it's
good.
ready.
sure.
Yeah.
And I can
Yeah.
do just a quick where you can find it
I
on our
think that would be
webpage.
good.
So
Yeah.
if we go to our website under District Transparency to Finance, and then right at the top, it'll be annual budget. This will show us last year's. And we'll have all the years available.
So which, so I'm looking at it, right?
And then
Is it about the Harbor District? Is it under that?
you'll
tab?
go across the top to
I'm looking
district.
at it on the phone right now.
Okay, district transparency. I don't have the mobile version of our website in front of me, so it goes home, projects, Oyster Point.
Okay, under district transparency.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then to finance.
okay.
And then if
I mean,
you,
a lot, and I know I would do both, right? But I've got my phone with me more, and I'm not saying that, we have to accommodate everybody in turn, like who's only looking at phones or only looking at a laptop. But if people are just looking at their phones, I just want to make sure it's easy for them.
yes. So
So-
how are we doing?
Well, so I have district transparency, and then you look at finance,
Finance.
right?
And then
And I
annual
think the main
budget.
thing is that it's got to go under district transparency and not to be confused with some of the awards that we've gotten to show that we're transparent. So, yeah. Okay. Financial reports.
And then annual budget. I think it has every budget through 2010-11 available to click on.
Yes. Okay. I have that here. So, okay. Yeah, I've got it. I think it's a great tool. I think it's a great tool. Thank you for working so hard on that and getting this updated all the time, Michelle.
Yes, and I really like our transition over to the digital budget book platform. It's very nice.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. So there's three big numbers when we look at our budget. We anticipate, we're projecting 15.76 million in revenue, 13.8 in expenditures, and adding 1.9 to working capital. It's important to note that when I say 1.9 added to working capital, we are going to spend $300,000 of that on capital projects next year. And we also had to budget $600,000 for the 2 open seats that will be opening up for elections. So that leaves us with about 1.1 after we pay those 2 big bills. To take a little bit deeper look at revenues, some things that changed from the first look budget to this final budget is we had to factor in the reduction of operating revenue from our vacant space and then our tenants leaving, in this fiscal year, and then projecting out the worst case scenario that vacant retail space remains vacant. We're working really hard to fill it. But, just to be conservative for our budget, we did not include any lease income from that space in the next fiscal year. Again, working hard for that to not be the case, but that is how we projected. We also had a decrease when we look at revenues for projected decrease in property value, that's how we like to project. Also keeping our eye on property value dispute settlements that could come about. We do know that we're going to have a reduction of about $60,000 from the Genetech settlement, and that we'll feel that in the fall of 26. And
There's probably more.
and there's probably more, and we are watching that for sure. And we completed some large capital improvement projects this year. And so that's going to end up reducing the amount of money we can invest, and so lower interest income out of those investments. So this year we are anticipating $500,000 in interest income, and next year only $250,000. So when you see that reduction in revenue, so there's some of the key points to that.
You mean non-operating revenues, right?
Well, the
net, the 1.3 positive is the net. After
Yes,
all of this,
yes.
but non-operating revenues, which is what I thought you were also talking
right,
about.
our operating revenues are from our lease income, our
Correct.
slips, and
Correct.
then so we would have anticipated closer to 2.2% should we be fully leased, and so
Right.
down to 1.3, and the property tax revenue and the interest income from investments is in the non-operating
non,
side.
yeah.
Yes.
So I just want to point out that that because we had the one lessee for all 100% of those spaces, I don't think that we were diversified, and so it's affecting 60% of our leases right now. And this is one of the main reasons that I wanted to push for diversification of our leases, to not to have more than one vendor have all of the leases, because I think this these revenue, the impacts would be less, would not have as much of an impact if we had even one of the operators or lessees in that space still operating instead of 100% of zero, or 100, yeah, which is zero, right? Better to have
Yes.
100% of something than 100% of nothing. Or 50% of something than 100% of nothing. And right now we have 100% of nothing. So, and I bring this up because as we move forward through the process, that is something that I'm really going to make a priority right now, because I view all of that space as one investment portfolio. And I would never put 60% of an investment portfolio in the type of risky investment that we have, because this is what we're getting. And it does affect our bottom line. So thank you for bringing this to our
Yes.
attention, Rochelle, but I just wanted to let my fellow board members and quite frankly, the public know that that's the approach that I think we should be taking, because without the diversification, this is what you get. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Get off my bully pulpit now.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's relevant for the budget. It's really relevant.
Yes. So and typically we would project higher for salaries and benefits, but we're at 4%, and that is that the Assistant Director Administrative Services position will be eliminated at the end of September. So we'll have a little bit of savings in salary and benefits heading in to the next fiscal year. Non-personnel expenses are up. We had a pretty large increase in our property and liability insurance going into next year, it was 25% increase, $122,000. And so that's part of that, the most significant of that non-personnel expenditure increase. I had also mentioned earlier, we have the $600,000 budgeted for elections this year, $300,000 for our capital improvement program, very conservative going into next year. We know we have some big.
Could you spend a little more time on this $600,000 for elections? That seems like an awful lot of money. How does the county determine?
They estimate $300,000 per open seat. And
For a countywide,
yes, and so,
even though they're districts?
yes,
So if something happened and, we had to replace 5 people through elections.
I had to do the math really fast. Yes, 15,000. What? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. 5 million.
Yeah, and that cost capital has gone up over time. It used to be like 108,000 or something like that.
Right,
Yeah.
and I noticed, in the demographics, in the, staff, in the, election, or in the, budget, that, San Mateo County is the 5th largest employer in San Mateo County. Yeah. I was reading and I haven't memorized it, but of the top 10 employers, we were like the 5th.
Really, I thought we would be higher.
Well,
We were at one point, I think we were number 2 or 3.
So-
The county as a whole, right?
I suppose we should do maybe I should do a PRA for what is calculated into these costs. Because, if they just take their entire huge mass election or, staff for the entire county and then divide it up between the people who are running, this is getting, prohibitive. We're lucky, we've got a $15 million budget. What about the little districts? I'm sure it's on a per capita basis in who the district is. In what size the district is, but still, it just strikes me that $600,000 for 2 candidates makes me feel really important. And George, you too.
So just hope we run unchallenged, then we wouldn't have to
I
spend
don't
that
think we
money.
can say
Microphones,
that.
please.
Yeah,
But that's, yeah, you don't spend that money if you don't have to run against someone. So, I don't know, maybe, I was always frustrated with that since the first time I ran, and the explanation on part of it is it's for all the printing costs and printing in all the different languages and the big thick booklets that you see that everybody gets and all of that. So it would be interesting to see how they break out,
yeah.
dollar by dollar, but that's their expenditure that they have to spend when they print everything up after the August cutoff for
Right.
for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It does seem like a lot, but
it's an interesting point for sure, because it actually affects who could run.
yeah.
I think that your point about cost prohibitive, a cost prohibitive situation is actually very true, because the costs get trickled down to the candidates at the end of the day. And that means special interests come in more in play in terms of money. Really, at the end of the day, it takes money. And so this increased cost, I can see it now that we might end up having to have, what is it? I can't even remember the actual name, where the public would have to be paying for some of the candidates. Separate from these costs. And anyway, public funding for elections, something like that.
Well, they
Anyway, we're
say there is no poll tax,
Yeah,
but guess who pays for the elections? Everybody in the county.
yeah.
So there is a poll tax, they've just hidden it.
So, yeah, we should probably question that a little bit, because I can see if it's a big race, but our harbor, and even though our harbor district is countywide, and that's why the cost is so great, it's there, I'm sure there are other places with the same kind of issues, but not as big or notable, right? It's in terms of a visibility as an agency.
Right.
And so I don't know, how would we go about, what do you think, Catherine, do a PRA request for
Well, let's talk about it offline.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. But anyway, it's worth
It's not on this agenda, but I just wanted
I don't want to
point it out
deviate from it. Yeah,
for the public.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
George, have your elections coming up, assuming y'all run again, which I hope you do. Save the Harbor District.
So I have a question on the previous slide. Are we purchasing Range Rovers for the district? That looks like a Range Rover.
No, but we are going to maintain our vehicle and vessels because, our search and rescue activities are really a core function of what we do. And so we always want to make sure that we have funds ready to make sure that we can get out to assist the public should they need us. So maybe I should have a boat there instead of a car.
Trail in the boat. Just keep-
That's a good idea. Yes, I'll work on that graphic for next year.
I
Doesn't it
not
look like
assume-
it?
No,
No, see, I had a Range Rover, so that's what it looks like. It's at that slope roof and the.
They all
We would never
They
approve a
all
Range
look
Rover.
alike, George.
I'm sorry, what?
They all look alike.
No, yeah, I know that. Okay.
It's not like the fifties.
No, with the big fins on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So going into 2027, we're projecting about 9.5 million in working capital, but we must reserve 3.76 of that for emergencies, leaving us with around 6 million in 2027 available for capital projects. When I had showed that table where we had a deficit in that 5-year forecast. So just sharing how we project that our revenue growth typically over a 10-year average is 3.3%. We anticipate that expenses rise 3 to 5% every year, and that in 2031, we have a projected imbalance. But last year it was 2030, so we're keeping that projected imbalance pushed out.
That's good work.
Yes. It's hard work. A lot of public entities are really struggling with that right now. If you read any of our budgeting headlines from around the county.
Cities in particular. And it's not from bad management.
No.
The cities, it's from state imposed costs.
Yes. There was one other little note that I missed in my presentation, but another decrease in our revenue that is particularly challenging for our facilities is we had a significant reduction in the SAVE grant. And the SAVE grant helps reimburse our costs for vessels that get brought into our facilities and left behind, or they don't ever pay, and then we have to lien those vehicles, and then they become ours and we have to destroy. It's very, very expensive, and that grant was almost decimated. And so we're having to absorb the costs of those vessels being left behind at our facilities. And so that also impacts our revenues.
I will compliment staff and management. I took a friend out there the other day and all those ratty vessels in the center line of sight for anybody walking down the pier. Those ratty vessels are all gone, and I was so impressed. And how much did it cost to get rid of all those vessels, ballpark-ish?
It might hit in July, but I think so it may not show this fiscal year. It'll be about $100,000.
Yeah, just for the public to know. These are the kind of costs that on an individual basis that are thrust on us.
So are those surplus, are they trashed and we pay for somebody to haul it all out? Or
Correct.
sell it to someone who wants to refurbish it? Or
We do try to sell them, but often they are in a state where they are not desirable. And there's also environmental impact considerations, hazardous waste. So it just becomes very expensive quickly to address that issue.
It's becoming an interesting thing because just this morning on the news and last night on the news, they were showing, I guess, Jack London Square, Oakland Estuary, a significant amount of trash on the docks, trash boats sunk in the estuary. And, they're making the point that it's expensive to get rid of all that. And even with the Corps of Engineers, I mean, if it was in the channel floating, the Corps would have to go get it. We would look for who owns it, but typically Jim would know, they would scratch off any registration stuff. And typically though, if they leave it in the channel, then yeah, the federal government has to go to it because we had the responsibility for all floating debris in navigation channels. We hoped it would float and end up in the mud, and then we wouldn't have to pick it up. But it's a pretty big challenge, and they're raising that issue now in the media.
Just a quick comment. I agree with everything that y'all are saying, which is, I think, the reason that we have to keep in mind that really an opportunity for us is to increase the enterprise revenues, which I know some of the constituents aren't happy about, but these are things that, as Catherine said, are thrusted upon the Harbor District that, that we can't control. So either changing the tax, increasing the tax percentage or increasing our revenue or not our enterprise revenues. Those are our two main choices. And right now, I've seen it over time, the revenue I can't even talk, enterprise revenue go from 40% to 35%. So I want to thank you, Jim, for being creative and trying to figure out how to raise the enterprise or increase the enterprise revenues. But I want to make the point that that is a part of our budget that has, I think, a pretty big opportunity to be more robust in that, and remind the public that those revenues pay for these other expenses. We're going to get complaints either way, but right now, I think that increasing enterprise revenues is probably the best way to do this. So I want to thank Jim again for looking out for those types of projects.
Now, the
Bringing it
state of
to us.
California's legislators came up with legislation that helped clean the boats that we're talking about all over. We submitted a picture of the Caleb to them, and instead the legislation was narrowed down to only consider that left along the Sacramento Delta. So our legislators are very short-sighted on this, and perhaps that's something you can bring back to our legislators, because you can see the special districts, all your cities. There's a lot of people are harmed by this very narrow approach to a statewide problem. So I hope there's some California legislators or their staffers that are listening and can expand this opportunity to help take care of places like our harbors and many others.
If I may, Mr. President, there is federal funding to remove vessels on the coast side, but they have to be located within the marine sanctuary. And our harbor is not within the marine sanctuary.
That's the pluses and minuses.
So that's, we applied for those funds, but
I thought
they looked at it, but ultimately decided that because it was outside the marine sanctuary, all their funding went to recovering sunken vessels or airplanes within the marine sanctuary.
So am I misunderstanding? I thought we were in the Monterey Bay.
We are surrounded by it.
Yeah, but when we were, okay, I get that for the Farallon one, but as we go through these other projects, then why is it that it seems like we're restricted because we're considered in it, but when we need money, we're not considered in it?
The Surfers Beach project is within the marine sanctuary because it's outside the breakwater. So
Okay.
that's why we had to deal significantly with the marine sanctuaries.
I see.
But Surfers Beach, Princeton Shoreline Project,
And is
we're
in
not dealing
the,
with the sanctuary
I
at all.
got it. Okay. Okay, I got it. Thank you. That's helpful.
I can just see our harbor patrol rafting boats out in the sanctuary now and saying, hey, go get your boats now.
Right? We're in the marine sanctuary.
We tried that with the Caleb, but got significant backlash and brought the Caleb back in.
So we can't float the Caleb and then.
I asked the
Magic
guys towing it at the time to take it out to the sanctuary. It would have been a tremendous reef to fish on.
Yes,
The Caleb?
yes.
It's not big enough.
Oh,
No.
it would
Hazmat
be
free.
a fabulous fish nursery.
Yeah.
I also want to thank Jim and for the public. I asked Jim how many fishing vessels we have in the harbor.
You responded to that. Yeah, that's good.
I was
And
surprised by the numbers.
tell the public.
Do we have,
I don't recall the numbers, but the numbers significantly increased over the last 10 years.
It
By the
went
number of
like
commercial fishing
from
vessels.
71 to 100 and 141 or something like that. It was pretty close to a doubling.
I would think it would be the inverse, but turned out to be a increase. So
Right,
that was good.
I heard this.
right, which tells me why we need to spend the money on parking, because each one of those vessels brings in a certain number has a certain number of cars associated with it. People don't walk here to get to their boats and bring their equipment on a little red wagon.
So I can read, I'll just read.
Three numbers. In 2017, it was 76. In 2022, 140. And in 2026, 141. But it did drop a little bit. But from 2022 to 2026, it's within one or two vessels, about the same. So there was a pretty big jump from 21 to 22. Yes.
COVID area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And thanks to Rochelle and her team, I was able to get that number.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Betty. Where the credit is due. So I would just like to thank all of the commissioners for your great questions today and the Finance Committee for supporting the budget development. You all have great questions and good comments to clarify things for the public. So thank you again for your time today.
I'm a couple bad here.
Well, congratulations to your team for the GFOA award.
Thank
It
you.
just shows that we're on track and that we are being accountable and transparent with the tax dollars. So thank you.
Yes. And we've had a great leader. We will continue to miss Julie Van Hoff.
And I want to thank the operations crew and the operations management, because if you walk around both harbors, you don't realize how much work it takes to keep the trash picked up, the lawns, and that kind of thing, to make them habitable or presentable and a desirable place to spend your time. I took a friend from Reno out, and we just sat in one of the concrete benches by the harbor office, and it was so peaceful. It was so relaxing, and it was just a real pleasure to watch the variety of people who were coming out, buying fish, just enjoying the environment, bringing their dogs. And that doesn't happen by accident. So thank you to all the crew too for that, because we can sit here, but Jim has yet to hand us a black plastic bag, and so go change the trash can liners. We appreciate that, but yeah, if our income goes down, we may have to do that.
Okay, at this point, I would entertain a motion to accept the recommendation to approve resolution number 26-07, approving the fiscal year 2027 operating budget and 5-year capital improvement program.
So moved.
I'll move.
I did too.
I'll second it. That's fine. I just want to get it
I
passed.
heard us in stereo. I heard a first and a second. You guys could decide which one they are. Any further discussion? Do we have anybody online who would like to ask any questions? No? Any further questions by any commissioners or statements at this point? Okay, with that, can we take a roll call vote, please?
President Domrat,
Yes.
Commissioner Zemke, Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Slater Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner Jane Crowley.
Hi.
Mr. President, before we close out, I just want to bring up one topic. It's not on the agenda, so we can't discuss it, but I want to raise the awareness. On Saturday night, we had a vessel about a mile offshore run out of fuel. And he asked for assistance from the Harbor District, and the Coast Guard asked the district, and so did CETO apparently, for us to go out there and provide fuel to him so he can get it back into the harbor safely. The Coast Guard determined that running out of fuel and sitting out there was not an emergency, so they declined the launch to recover the vessel. The gentleman did have a contract with a third-party salvage company that's like AAA of the sea, and they didn't really want to come out all the way from San Francisco to provide a gallon of gas so the boat owner could drive 1 mile back into the harbor. So they were reluctant to come out. We could have gone out there in 30 minutes, provided the gas, and they could have come in right away safely. But because it happened in the evening, when we were down to one staff member, I couldn't authorize the launch of one staff member with one asset to go out there by himself to provide gas. So the gentleman, and Coast Guard issued a MARB, which is a marine broadcast for assistance from other vessels in the area if they could help, and there was nobody available. So he was pretty much stuck out there until, for some reason, the AAA of the sea, nothing to do with AAA, just give you an idea what they do, decided that, yeah, they had to go out there. And they finally went out there after a few hours and provided this gentleman with a gallon of gas. Luckily, seas were great, weather was great, and he was drifting in the right direction, but that could have gone bad fast if weather was different. And we couldn't do anything about it as a harbor district due to lack of staffing and lack of funding for that staff.
Without going into discussion, thank you for letting us know, because this is, again, going back to the budget, the reason that we have to at least increase that side of the budget, which is the enterprise revenues.
Did I get all that right, John?
Yeah, basically, yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It was actually 5 miles south.
Oh,
So it was a little bit greater distance, and it was Boat US. The individual paid an annual fee to Boat US, and they initially, as general manager suggested, didn't outright decline, just said it's going to be 3 to 5 hours, which is the same as declining. But they ultimately changed their tune. And as the general manager said, we did only have one staff member on duty, but that staff member acted appropriately, kept in touch with the boater, found out how many people on board and their physical condition, making certain that there were no children, infants, or elderly on oxygen or whatever. And so it was just not a dire emergency. The general manager has in the past, and probably would have again this time, authorized us to try to call in a staff member that was off duty. But again, as the general manager said, we really do need to get funded by other sources so that we can, if the expectation is that the district is available 24/7, 365 days a year, due to our remote location to respond to these emergency situations, we need to get some more financial support from either state or other agencies.
And again, I highlight this just to raise awareness to the board and the public of what we face. It also affects our staff because they want to respond. They want to go out and help. And when they're told they can't due to safety, it really does affect their morale, and their goes against their grain of being able to go out there and do their job. But we can't let them go out there unless it's safe to do so. So again, we can't really discuss it, but I did want to raise your awareness to it and raise the public's awareness to this. I briefed the Rotary and Pacifica about this during the breakfast meeting. So trying to get that message out there that we're the only ones who get wet on the coast and have those assets to respond immediately to any situation. And we're normally the ones first on scene. With that,
No, I appreciate that, Jim. And I'd like to maybe recommend we do bring it up at the next meeting and add it to the agenda, because maybe there's something like we write a formal letter from the commissioners to the county. First of all, noting that this is a challenge, that these things are happening. Maybe something to the federal government also saying this is a harbor of refuge. It's a safe harbor. And when there's somebody offshore and they can't be safe, I mean, there's something wrong with the formula. So I think that warrants some discussion, and maybe we'll I guess decide whether we want to write a letter or something to certain parties. So
Well, I mean, can you put that in your general manager's update and
Yeah.
then, because without,
Okay, yeah, that-
without going through the process of future, yeah, I would
Okay.
just put that, just do it.
I have to,
Yeah, thank you.
happened this weekend. I wanted to bring it up so that you're aware of it and the public is aware of it.
Well, I think maybe we should work with the Marine Sanctuary, because if that boat had gone down 5 miles south of the port, they would have had a big bill. And so,
All that is taken into consideration.
yeah, and it's something we should be telling a whole lot of folks about, because everybody is naturally assumes that there's a lifeguard and safety. And it's a real rude shock to find out that all this safety stuff is expensive and costs money. And maybe they could get the lifeguards off of our state beaches and put the money into real rescue.
And with that,
I'm,
it's
I'll second.
just a briefing to raise awareness, and that's all I have.
so we have a motion to adjourn and a
In
second.
a second, yeah.
Second, we do. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I don't think anybody's opposed. Thank you all very much. The next regular meeting will be on the 15th of July. So it'll be in the new year.